My friend Ernie Marcello from Rome, New York is back.
Thank you. Yeah. I got, wait, I got lost.
I said, you're,
You guys are killing me.
you're, 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 you remember Ernie from the John Lennon service. I said to Ernie, we don't need any more John Lennon songs. So he said, okay, we're going to do 3 George Harrison songs today. This is the
Yeah.
first one.
And he tells me 3 days ago to learn these. I can't do it. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong song. I don't know. How come I can't do it anymore?
I heard it. It was wonderful. Just 15 minutes ago. It was
All right.
wonderful.
I got it. It took a minute.
5, 6, uh-oh, they're leaving already.
Thanks.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Give me love, give me love, give me peace on earth, give me light, keep me free from birth, give me hope, help me cope with this heavy load, trying to touch and reach you with heart and soul. My Lord, please take hold of my hand that I might understand. Won't you please, oh, won't you give me love, give me love, give me peace on earth, give me light, give me life, keep me free from birth, give me hope, help me cope with this heavy load, trying to touch and reach you with heart and soul. My Lord. Won't you please, oh, won't you give me love, give me love, give me peace on earth, give me light, give me life, keep me free from birth, give me hope, help me cope with this heavy load, trying to touch and reach you with soul. Give me love, give me love, give me peace on earth. Give me light, give me light. Keep me free from birth now. Give me hope, help me cope with this heavy load. Trying to touch and reach you with heart and soul.
Well, if you gave me 4 or 5 more tries, I might have got it.
Well, thank you. I'm going to open this service. I'm Reverend Karen Brammer. Just delighted to see you all. And I want to tell you that there was a group of, I think there were 12 of us who went to the Oneida Cultural Center yesterday. Was that? No, Friday afternoon. And we were able to get a special tour for us of that cultural center, which was built in like 1977. And the whole building is made of white pine trees that are carved so that they fit well together. And there are no nails used. It's just this absolutely beautiful space it feels like a living space. One of the things that we learned is that the name Iroquois, which is what the word we've been using, was actually a bad name that the enemies of the Haudenosaunee and the Oneida were given out of meanness, I guess, or just the spirit of war. And so we're not going to use the word Iroquois. If we remember, it'll be a process, I'm sure, but it's the Haudenosaunee. And the Utica space was lived in by the ancestors of both the Oneida and the Mohawk. Oneida sits right on the boundary of the Oneida and the Mohawk. And so we're going to adjust our opening words to say we are very aware that right now we are on the land, the ancestral land of the Haudenosaunee people, including particularly the Oneida and the Mohawk people, and with great intention hope to build relationship and learn what it means to live with people whose ancestral land we live on. And that might be a news story for some of you because you are being here for just the first or second or third time. It might be that you've been here thousands of times, but however many times you've been here, you are so welcome. And that also, no matter your experience with faith community or religious belief, you are welcome here as who you are in full. Your whole self is welcome here. And so we would welcome you online or in person if you are not getting the newsletter to fill out one of the newcomer forms that's in the back or using the link that's online so that you can get connected with all of us and we'll connect with you. And so I am going to step back and invite Jerry Reed to come forward and talk a little more about that newsletter. And then Jack will follow up to tell you why we have tables here today.
Thank you, Reverend Karen. I won't take too long, but I've been the newsletter editor for a few months now, and one of the goals of me as the editor is to, one, keep it informative, two, to make it visually appealing so that you would want to read it. So I brought with me today the list of the people who are actually subscribers. If you're not reading, or if you're not getting the newsletter, see me and we'll put you on the list, and maybe we can check your email to make sure we got the right one. So in any case, the newsletter goes out every Thursday around 10:15 in the morning. And it comes by email. So in any case, if you want to be on the newsletter list, we hope you do, see me anytime today or send me an email through the directory. All right? Thank you.
Hi, everyone. The tables today are set out for two reasons. Number one is for the potluck afterwards, which we hope everybody stays and enjoys. But the other reason is because today is Community Sunday, and we would like to have people, after the service, sit at one of the tables, and hopefully we'll have a facilitator at each one, but that may not really be necessary because all we're going to do is ask one question, and the question is, why have you chosen to be part of this church community? And we just want people to informally be able to hear from each other. And maybe this will be, this conversation will continue afterwards, but that's the reason, those are the reasons for the tables right now. Thank you.
Plus eating.
What's that?
Plus eating.
Oh, yes. As far as the question, Paul Tenarowitz is going to join you folks after the service so that you can also have that conversation online. Thank you. Thanks, Paul.
And Jack will come back at the end of the service to let us know how we can get hold of food and bring it to the tables for those conversations as well. And so, would you come forward, Barbara, to read our, oh, Jack is actually lighting the chalice. That shocked look came with reason. That's my fault. Thanks, Barb. So these words are from Christine Robinson. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs and confusions. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meeting in celebration of the life we share together. And if you would now open to 347, Gather the Spirit is the song that we'll open our service with today. Gather the Spirit. And rise in body or spirit when you're ready.
Gather the Spirit, harvest the power, our separate fires will kindle one flame. Witness the mystery of this hour, our trials in this life appear all the same. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope,
Thank you. Please be seated. I have a feeling that song might be a little too high for lots of people. So we'll work at trying to get some stairs from the basement up so and more people can sing together. Barbara, please.
This House by Kenneth Patton. Our church is a house for the ingathering of nature and human nature. It is a house of friendships, a haven in trouble, an open room for the encouragement of our struggle. It is a house of freedom, guarding the dignity and worth of every person. It offers a platform for the free voice, for declaring both in time of security and danger the full and undivided conflict of opinion. It is a house of truth-seeking, where scientists can encourage devotion to the quest, where mystics can abide in the community of searchers. It is a house of art, adorning its celebrations with melodies and handiworks. It is a house of prophecy, outrunning times past and times present in visions of growth and progress. This house is a cradle for our dreams, the workshop of our common endeavor.
So, is this working? Hello? Hello, hello. Are you able to hear from this? Great. I'm noticing we have children today. Yay! Welcome, welcome. And there is a space in the back, a card table to do projects together if you'd like, or you can get materials from the kids' space in the back and bring it in. Be comfortable, okay? And that goes for adults who are young at heart also. Feel comfortable. Some of us really need to have our hands busy in order to pay attention. So I am going to invite anybody who wants to come forward to open the Wonder Box and do this thing with me. This Wonder Box has 3 things in it that you can see on the wall, actually. There's a great big tree, very much like the trees outside. Well, sort of like the trees outside that hopefully most of you can see. Asher, you going to come up to help? Oh, awesome. And underneath the trees are
leaves.
Dried leaves, right? So if you put these on one of the tables, dried leaves are all over. Even though people did their best to do all that raking in the fall, there are still tons of trees and pine needles out there, which we need, actually. And then there is, here's something else, Asher. Something else. What is this? For people who can't see it.
Mushrooms.
Mushrooms, all right. And those mushrooms have underneath them something that looks like, what do you think that looks like?
String.
It looks like string, it's kind of gauzy, it's kind of like a filament, and there's some up there. But the story that this tells is that all these leaves and dead things are going to feed those big trees, but not until the mushrooms pop up and are showing us that the job of their root system, the mycelia, it's a strange name, the mycelia, is absorbing all the nutrients from the dead trees and the leaves and the pine cones, and they're giving them to the trees so the trees can live. Cool beans, huh? How would you feel about bringing some mushrooms to everybody's table? These mushrooms represent us, people. The mushrooms represent us. Oh, thank you. And the mycelium, this stuff, that takes pretty toxic stuff out of our culture and turns it into good stuff for the world, to feed our vision. If our tree represents our principles and our vision of what can be beautiful in the world, then you and I and our principles, bound by our principles, we're going to take that pretty toxic stuff and turn it into a loving community. So that's what the mushrooms are all about. And I have to say, we have a lot of mushrooms. We have lots and lots of mushrooms, but I'm going to start by saying that the mushrooms that pulled this event together, including Ernie and Jeff on the music, and Melissa with music, and the tech, and Alex with tech, and all the people who are putting food together, you're all mushrooms. You're the people who are an expression of our values. When you do anything for anyone else in this community, you're taking what happens in our culture, that isolation, and that, oh, you know all the things I'm talking about, the things that are hard in our culture, that we want to transform and bring into community a sense of nourishment and love. And so that's what those mushrooms represent. And so I am going to move to understanding a little bit more about mushrooms by listening to the way that the Algonquin, excuse me, not the Algonquin, but the, I have their words. Oh, the Muckleshoot, actually, it's a different community of people up in the Northwest. The Muckleshoot Nation refers to mushrooms as papawi, and it means to swell up in stature suddenly and silently from an unseen source of power. That power could be the expression of collective energy, it could be the ancestors, it could be an expression from our Creator. And so I'm going to invite you then to hear a little bit more about what we did at the Oneida Center, but also other things that are serving to inspire me, that are connecting us as Unitarian Universalists. And so I'm going to reclaim my words here. So before I tell a little more stories about the Oneida people, and I will open up space for anyone who was there yesterday who would like to tell abbreviated story from the Oneida, because it was very moving to hear how essentially their principles, their covenants, their love of environment and Creator were woven into story and so much more. What I want to tell you about is that there's a UU program called the Chalice Lighters that we'll talk more about in the future. But the Chalice Lighters are Unitarian Universalists across the world who contribute, I think, $10 3 times a month. And congregations like our own can apply to Chalice Lighters for really significant programs. And so we all collectively, across the globe, are able to put small amounts of money in and help a congregation in Illinois get an elevator, or help a congregation in West Virginia recreate its front entrance and put a great big sign out in front in a very conservative area that proclaims who they are. Things like this are happening all over the country and the world, where we are feeding the vision of many Unitarian Universalists in many places we don't know anything about, in order to help the beauty of our covenants, the beauty of our principles to grow. And I wanted to remind you, if you don't know about it already, that there's a program called UU the Vote. Before the elections, UU the Vote, which is staffed by Unitarian Universalists, organized so that hundreds of thousands, literally, phone calls and texts were made by Unitarian Universalists to encourage people to go out and vote their values. We couldn't have done that on our own, certainly not as individuals or as one congregation. But the network, that mycelia of our Unitarian Universalist values connects all of our Unitarian Universalists around the world, and we make a difference in the world. And I wanted to also say that Carol, who's the president of this church, encouraged me just by telling me the story of her own volunteering at a place called the Cornerstone Community Church that some of you may know about. It's on Oneida Square, which is, I don't get it because it's a circle, but it's called Oneida Square. And it is the place now where many, many homeless people go. And it is the place where Community Church, because of their principles, their values, because they understand that love expressed unconditionally is part of what their faith in Christianity calls them to do. They have a feeding program. So every night from 7 till 8, some of these details I might get wrong, but 7 to 8, I believe, a meal gets served to between 30 and 60 people. That's a lot of people every night. And on Sunday mornings is a breakfast. It's all free. And people come here because they would not be able to receive services in other shelters. Many of them are homeless, live on the streets. Community Church also provides housing on the most bitter, cold nights of the year. But they do this as volunteers. And they do this with people who are branded as outcasts, because it's really hard to get donations to support people who are not going to show improvement because they're still addicted. But they still need food, and they need a place to live, and they need compassion. So I started volunteering there once a month with Carol, and you'll see that little note in the newsletter. And I'm hoping more Unitarian Universalists might come along, because it's a joy to make that food and to serve it. And then I'll tell you that what has been happening to me is that where I have in the past been nervous around homeless people, maybe feeling guilty, maybe just feeling scared because I don't know what that existence is like, my heart is growing. I am learning the names of some of the people who I see out on the streets. And one man came across the Dunkin' Donut parking lot because he recognized me and said, "I am so hungry. Do you have a hot dog?" And I was like, I don't happen to have a hot dog with me. And I did not bring money, which I don't carry. But come to dinner at 7 and we'll feed you as much as you want to eat. And so one of those great big trees, those magnificent principles, the things that we want to become real in the world, could be unconditional love for people who are deemed outcasts. And I'll tell you, there are many outcasts, quote unquote. I don't even like using the term. There are many communities right now who will treat a person who's non-binary or transgendered as an outcast because they don't, quote unquote, belong or fit in. Our Unitarian Universalist faith is very clear that every life matters and that we have a lot to learn from people who are different from me, different from you. And so our Unitarian Universalist faith really has this large, huge network, this mycelia of values that transform individuality, hyper-individuality, hyper-materialism, hyper-competition into care, into community, into love. And that's who we are. And so I know that the mycelia is down there doing all that work. All our covenants and our love, who we claim to be, is out there doing that work. And when we show up, we're the beautiful mushrooms. And you know that underneath every Unitarian Universalist mushroom is a covenant, is a promise, is the way we intend to be with one another so we can transform a world that is both beautiful and terrible to be more and more beautiful, to be more and more inclusive, to be more and more loving. That's who we are. That's who we are. And that's why there's a silly bunch of mushrooms up here and some gauzy stuff. If you go outside, when I picked up that piece of wood, the root that is standing up on its end, I was careful to make sure it didn't have any mycelia on it, because that mycelia is so important. It's so important. It animates the ground we walk on, and it's carrying nutrients from things that have perished, bugs. A bug that you don't like, who dies, is getting consumed by the mycelia that is going to put the nutrients back into that network and feed it to things that are living. Such a beautiful vision, and I think it fits with us, as long as you don't mind being referred to as a mushroom. I thought about wearing my cap and about making mushroom caps for you all, but I thought that's, a little overboard here. So I have all these beautiful dreams about community, and I keep seeing them take place. So there's a story I want to tell about first the Oneida, so I don't forget, and I'll ask others of you to tell more stories if you would like. But I noticed they have belts that are beaded to commemorate history, that they're under glass, because they're very, very important belts. And one of them was from George Washington. And I looked at it and I thought, well, that's interesting, because I do know in history that even though the Oneida people became allies to George Washington and the colonies in our War of Independence, that George Washington decided that he couldn't trust Indians, and he sent a whole lot of troops up to burn down villages, which they did. And then after that, there was a treaty, and then George Washington sent this beautiful wampum belt, is what it's called. And I pointed at it and I said something like, how odd that George Washington would give you a belt after he burned down your villages. She said, well, we honor our history, and we understand that our people have not been welcome, and that we have been working a very long time to be strong, and we are strong. And then she talked about some of those values. And I'll leave it to you to ask somebody who was there. Raise your hand if you were there. And so somebody, if you'd like, ask about the faceless corn dolls. The corn dolls that they make that have no faces on them. Ask what that's about. It's because it reflects a very deep covenant, a very deep value, a covenant that the Oneida people have made with their creator. And it's expressed in this corn doll that has no face. I hope you're intrigued and you'll ask somebody who was there. So one of the other spectacular trees of our vision has to do with taking care of our planet, living in right relationship with our planet. So we can put a value of taking care of our planet, being part of that interdependent web of existence. But how do we know how to live it? That's when we start doing our covenant. I think I mixed up those words probably. Our principles tell us that it's the seventh principle that is about our belonging to everything that is. And how we know how we're going to act that way comes out in our covenant, how we are with one another, and how we move forward. So we have some good work to do, and our climate action team is teaching us a lot about different things that we can do to move forward to help the planet rather than hurt the planet. And one of the big projects that many of you know about is the tree planting project, the urban tree planting project, which helps both the earth and the people and the air. So you see, we are taking our principles, the things that we say we love, the big, beautiful things that we're drawn to, and we're trying to live in a way that makes it more likely that those things will come real. They'll become real. And that is both the mycelia of our covenant and us showing up. Just showing up in community, you become a really good mushroom. You become a person who is expressing the presence of our intention to build a better world. That's who we are. That's why we're here. That's why we're together. We have different beliefs, but we come together because we believe that we can learn to live with our differences and make a difference in the world for the better, according to our principles. But we use our covenants in order to figure out how to do that. So this can happen on a huge level as well. There's a carpet industry, a carpet company called Interface that I first learned about back in the 1990s. And that company called, Interface, had one of its production arms in Maine, where I was preaching and where I was a minister. They, the person, Ray Anderson, who owns the company, kind of woke up one day. He had an epiphany. It's the season of epiphanies, isn't it? He had an epiphany that all that he was doing to make carpets, very petroleum heavy. He had to pull lots of oil out of the ground to make carpets. And then they'd make those carpets and they'd throw away millions of tons of waste. He woke up one day and looked at his grandson and thought, what am I doing? So what he did, he returned to the community of his employees, the people who are the janitors, the people who are the secretaries, the people who are picking up the garbage, the people who are the mechanics and the machinists and the scientists. He brought them all together over a long period of time, and over a long period of time, they figured out together how first to reduce their waste. They threw away much less. And this was being duplicated around the world by this company, because they are the largest carpet making company for putting carpets into offices. And one of the things they did, which I love, is instead of having one great big carpet, you put down squares of carpets, so that when you have a great big stain on one of three of those, you pull those three up instead of pulling up the whole carpet and wasting the whole carpet. So they just built in all these, the ingenuity of taking what was a really hurtful, destructive process and changing it over time with a community of people It took all of them. They could not have done it alone as scientists. They could not have done it alone as janitors. They all had to work together. And that's how I see us. As long as we're all talking to each other and learning together, we will create together what we need to do to move in positive directions. This company called Interface, which I think you may want to check out, especially as we're thinking about a new carpet, that actually we're going to clean this carpet. We're not going to throw it out. That Interface has now got a 0 footprint. They've minimalized the amount of petroleum they use, and they have no waste. It's an amazing process that took place only because of vision. That gorgeous tree, a person who had the power to say to them, please get together and figure this out. They figured it out, and they've made a massive difference to our planet and to people, and they are now more profitable because people care about things like that. So, my gosh, there's so many, 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 many stories that we could tell, that I could tell, because I need those stories to keep me going. We have plenty of stories that depress us every day, that are very difficult every day. And we've got to look for the stories that bring us hope. We've got to look for the stories of taking things that are no longer useful, like hyper-individualism, hyper-materialism, meanness, taking all those things and transforming them in community to love. That's what this is about. That's who we are together. We also do our individual searches for freedom and belief, but together we are so much more. And it's one of the reasons that I feel so blessed to be among you. And so I think with that, again, you can tell I could go on and on about this because there are so many stories. And by the way, I get a magazine called Yes. Yes magazine. If you are in need of positive stories that turn negative, damaging things, it's a story about people around the globe who are in so many ways coming together in community and transforming into yes, taking difficult, very, very damaging things and turning them into yes. And so I am going to come back to the written word here and find out where I am. We are in singing together. Come Sing a Song With Me was at least 5 years ago decided it was the favorite song of our Unitarian Universalist children. Come sing a song with me. So for all of those who are young at heart and young in many ways, please turn to 346 and we'll sing together. Come sing a song with me and rise in body or spirit. Sway like a tree, go for it.
Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love that arose in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream
would you join one another in the spirit of prayer, meditation, open-heartedness? In whatever way you experienced being connected to that which is much larger than our individual selves, whether it's through your feet to the planet and the trees, whether it's through your heart, loving community, whether it's through your mind with clarity, whether it's through your breath, cleansing, breathing out love. As we all gather ourselves in the spirit of love, we can also send out that love to people who are not here but who are with us in heart and mind and thoughts, for sad and difficult losses, for struggling with all that life brings. But also for the beauty of making something that we love real, bringing our imagination into the world. We bring all that we are. We bring all that we are. And we are good enough. And may it be that being together, we can help transform what is harsh in our individual lives into more open-heartedness, into more possibility. And may the possibility grow that together our thoughts, our love can serve to increase justice, can serve to spread healing, can open all of us to greater and deeper connection with others who have not been brought to the center of the circle, but from whom we want to learn and with whom we want to share this planet with love. May it be so for us all. Blessed be. Amen and Ashe. The ushers will come forward to collect today's offering, which will be part of that network of things, the fiber of things that's necessary to make our vision real and to help it be real for the next generations.
Are you going to do the bass line? Isn't it a pity? Now isn't it a shame? How we break each other's hearts and cause each other pain. How we take each other's love
without thinking anymore. Forgetting to give back. Now isn't it a pity? Some things take so long, but how do I explain when not too many people can see we're all the same? And because of all the tears, their eyes can't hope to see the beauty that surrounds them. Isn't it a pity? How it takes each other's love without thinking anymore, forgetting to give back. Isn't it a pity? Some things take so long, but how do I explain when not too many people can see we're all the same? And because of all the tears, their eyes can't hope to see the beauty that surrounds them. Isn't it a pity? The beauty that surrounds them. Isn't it a pity?
I wonder, Jeff, since you're right here, if you would extinguish the chalice for us. And if you pick up your order of service, there are words for extinguishing that chalice and join together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts. Paul will read our benediction.
This benediction is from Emil Gudmundsson. And now may we have faith in life to do wise planting, that the generations to come may reap even more abundantly than we. May we be bold in bringing to fruition the dreams of human kinship and justice. This we ask, the fields of promise become fields of reality.
You ready?
Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been clear. Here come the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here come the sun, I say, it's alright. Little darling, the smiles returning to the faces. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, I say, it's alright. Sun, 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 here it comes. 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 Little darling, I see that ice is slowly melting. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been clear. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, I say, it's alright. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, I say, it's alright. It's alright.
Ernie and I will be back. Also, Melissa and the potluck will be starting.